What is up, people? So I've got a message over here, a message that was sent to me, which was a reel. It says it's a perfect reply to atheists, so we're gonna watch that. In addition, we're also gonna play Spot the PS. I have a couple of new squares on the grid. See if you can spot them, but we have a kind of a new setup now. Some of the old cards, most of them are old cards, but a couple of new cards also. But yeah, we'll watch this video and at the same time we'll try and spot fallacies.
किसी ने सुना तो नहीं है ना?
भगवान कृष्ण गीता में 18वें अध्याय में कह रहे हैं।
भगवान, एक मिनट, ये सिर्फ आपने बुक प्रिंटेड पढ़ा है, किसी ने पर्सनली सुना है भगवान को?
पर्सनली किसी ने भी नहीं सुना है। जिस तरह से 2 + 2 4 आपने अपने टीचर से सुना, उन्होंने अपने टीचर से सुना, हमने अपने गुरुदेव से सुना।
Okay, so what's the fallacy there? He's saying that just like you heard from your teacher, I heard this from my teacher. Basically, he's trying to imply, what about you? You also heard from your teacher. That is whataboutery, but there's more. The words of the teacher, you're relying on the words of the teacher as being being what you should believe. That would be an appeal to authority. We're not relying on what you learn from your teacher. We are relying on the evidence something has. You can argue that mathematics is based on axioms, not evidence, but whatever he's claiming, the spiritual knowledge that he's claiming is empirical, has to be based on evidence.
तो गुरुदेव,
हमने प्रभुपाद से सुना। जैसे स्कूल में जाते हैं तो टीचर सिखा रहे हैं 2 + 2 4। आप अपने टीचर से कभी आपने पूछा है स्कूल में अपने टीचर से व्हाट इज द प्रूफ दैट 2 + 2 is 4? What is
like I said, 2 + 2 comes from axioms. It's based on the definition of addition. Just like 1 + 1 = 2, it goes from there. It's from the definition of numbers and the definition of addition, the operation of addition. It's axiomatic.
The proof this is A, this is B. टीचर ने कभी जवाब दिया ना, आपने पूछा ना, कभी वो जवाब देंगे।
बट ये तो अंधा ज्ञान हुआ ना फिर।
हाँ, तो इसका मतलब जो स्कूल में पढ़ाया जा रहा है वो भी अंधा ज्ञान है।
Oh, that he just said that what's being taught in schools is also blind belief, just like what they believe. That is a straw man. We don't learn things in school as blind belief. There is evidence behind all those things. Wait, where is straw man? Oh yeah, there we go.
स्कूल की बात नहीं है, आपने कहा कि जो आपके गुरु ने बताया
स्कूल की बात ही है, क्योंकि ज्ञान तो ज्ञान है, वो भौतिक ज्ञान है, आध्यात्मिक ज्ञान है।
Oh my God, ज्ञान तो ज्ञान है, भौतिक and आध्यात्मिक. So he's saying spiritual knowledge and worldly knowledge, they're two different categories of knowledge. They're all knowledge, they're all the same. I wouldn't say they're equal. That is a false equivalence. Spiritual knowledge, you'd have to show me some reasoning behind, oh, my guru told me something other than that to show me why I should believe in this spiritual knowledge. I mean, is this something I should just take your word for? The other things, what you call bhautik knowledge, the ones based in evidence, you don't have to take anyone's word for it. They're based in evidence. They're based in what actually is observable in the universe. This, what you're saying, is subjective, maybe to part of your religion. If you go somewhere in some other part of the world, like the US, and ask someone there, they wouldn't be able to observe whatever you are saying is knowledge, right? So why should I take your word for it?
भौतिक ज्ञान में आप विश्वास कैसे कर लिए कि 2 + 2 4 होता है? आप कैसे मान लिए ABCD EFG HI JK LMN O है?
ABCD are all alphabets. They're basically like definitions. Terrible reply, to be honest. But if this is a perfect reply, I don't know what's an actual perfect reply gonna be like. Keeping with the theme of the video, let's look at 3 questions for atheists.
I've got 3 questions that I want to ask atheists, and these aren't gotcha questions. I sincerely want to know, sincerely want to know the answer to these questions. First question is, do you believe that God does not exist? So you kind of either have that.
I don't believe that God does not exist. I don't believe in God. I don't believe in the existence of God. The two are different, and the difference is subtle. If you're not able to see the difference, I cannot say that I believe God does not exist. What reason do I have to say that, to believe that? My reasoning has to be based on some evidence, right? Since I don't have any evidence for the existence of any God or any supernatural entity, all I can say is that I don't believe. Whether it exists is something I can never know. something I don't know. All I can say is that I don't believe it, not that it doesn't exist. What a lot of theists do is assume that an atheist means someone who believes that God does not exist, because that argument is easy to break down. It's a straw man of atheism, because then you just have to ask, what evidence do you have to say that God does not exist? So a straw man is already marked. I will not mark that again. Let's see what.
Believe or you don't. You either believe that God does not exist or you don't. If you answered yes to that, then you're ready for the next question. The next question is, do you believe?
I answered no to that, so I'm not ready for the next question, it seems. But we'll watch it anyway.
In evidentialism. Evidentialism is the view that your beliefs ought to be proportioned to the evidence. You shouldn't just believe something without evidence. Those are the first two questions. If you answered yes to both of those, if you have the belief that God does not exist, and you also believe in evidentialism, you're ready for the third question. The third question is, what is your evidence that justifies your belief that God does not exist?
Oh man. I just told you, this is a line of argument that theists will use. The same line of argument can be turned back onto you. What's your evidence for your belief that God does exist? What evidence do you have to support that? Your evidence is the Bible, is your holy scripture, is the existence of some historical figure. It's not evidence by any sense of the word. Watch another video.
If you're an atheist, I'm about to put you in a corner right now because I am going to ask you a very hard question and you will not be able to answer it. I would be a very rich man if I got $1 for every time an atheist said these three words to me. Who made God? But let me flip that question back on you, Mr. Atheist. If you don't believe that God created you, the only other logical conclusion you can draw is that the universe created you. So if you believe that the universe created you, who created the universe?
My God! I can't believe he asked this question, because this question, who created the universe, is usually answered by theists as God created the universe. But the question should be, why does the universe need to be created at all? When you mention that something is created, you're instantly begging the question. You're bringing in a creator into your argument. So I'll mark that as begging the question. Where's begging the question? I think I don't have it. Yeah, I don't have it. But that's basically begging the question. When you say, oh, okay, the universe has to have been created, that means there is a creator. When you say created, you're begging the question. The other option is that the universe doesn't need to be created at all. So we don't need a God. What evidence do you have to say that the universe was created? We don't know that the Big Bang is a creation event. Much rather, it's an expansion from a point event. That's all we know about the universe's beginning. Why not wait for evidence to answer your questions about how the universe was their beginning? Is this how the universe came to you? Why not wait for evidence rather than saying, hey, God created the universe?
Atheists cannot answer this question. We know time, space, and matter was all created at the Big Bang. But if it was all created at the Big Bang, what caused the Big Bang? The cause would have to be something timeless, spaceless, and immaterial. Then the atheist would say,
we don't know what caused the Big Bang. But you're filling that gap in knowledge with God. God caused the Big Bang. I will mark that as a God of the gaps.
We don't know. So if you don't know, why could it not be God? And if there is no God, why is there something rather than nothing at all?
The answers to these, we don't know. But you're filling that gap in knowledge with God, right?
Atheists cannot answer.
That's it. I'm so unimpressed by this.
There is no proof that Adam and Eve existed. That is the point. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Do you have a mother and father?
Don't change the subject.
No, it's on the topic. Do you have a mother and father?
Yes, I do, of course.
Okay, take that far back as you can go. Use your scientific atheism to do that.
Yeah.
Far back as you can go. Where are you going to get to?
We're going to get to the Big Bang and chimpanzees.
No.
We're not going to get to Adam
the Big Bang happened way before the chimpanzees.
Yeah, but...
And the chimpanzees and humans split about 6 million years ago. So we're not talking about that. I'm talking to you about the first human being.
We're not Adam and Eve. You don't even know what their names are.
Well, okay, let's say you don't know the names. I'm not even arguing that. Will you go back in time and what happens to the population of man? Increases or decreases?
This is so sad. This is again a straw man of evolution. Straw man is marked. But we didn't really have a first human being. There was an ancestor species. A lineage of that ancestor species had traits which eventually accumulated to a point where they became distinct from another lineage. This other lineage became chimpanzees. This one became the Homo genus, not even humans, Homo genus. And then there were a lot more lineages and branches and splitting and all before we had Homo sapiens sapiens, which are us.
Increases.
Increases.
If you go back in time.
Yeah, there will get very few of them.
They get less and less and less and less. Until you come to, this is using your scientific head, the first human beings who were able to procreate and bring on children, yeah?
Yes.
Let's forget their names. How many were there?
2 probably. I still...
Strawman is this... Oh my god. But I've looked at how all religions... This is an Islamic counter to atheism, I think. We saw Christian counters, we saw Hindu counters. I don't want to consider ISKCON counters because ISKCON is also a misrepresentation of Hinduism. I mean, technically there's no misrepresentation because all types of Hinduism are equally valid because Hinduism doesn't really say you have to be this certain way. So ISKCON is just one of those which believes in a more monotheistic style of belief, like it believes in one supreme being, which is Krishna. It's really stupid in my opinion. It's a very narrow way of looking at the Hindu faith also, but I shouldn't call it stupid, but it's very narrow for sure. But we saw that. Yeah, that's it. I think there's one more. I'll just end with one more clip. Let's look at this. How do I get an atheist to believe in God?
In my opinion, an atheist is not an atheist because of his head, but he's an atheist because of his heart. Even if there was definitive proof of God's existence, atheists still wouldn't be Christian.
It's so sad, dude. I don't know how these people have learned all these misrepresentations of atheism. I can give you, like, from my head, logical reasoning why I'm an atheist. And by the way, it's Christians who generally deny evidence. Like, if there was a good reason not to believe, they will deny that.
Whoa. What a claim, Spencer. How can you say that if God was right in front of an atheist, they wouldn't believe? In the Garden of Eden, Adam and Eve would walk with God. Obviously, that is undeniable proof that God exists.
How is that undeniable proof when that is something from a book?
Do you not agree? And Adam and Eve walked with God, and yet in their pride, they chose not to be with God. I mean, look at the Israelites. Imagine being in Egypt when God brought those plagues. Imagine being at the Red Sea when it parted. That is undeniable proof that...
Yeah, and Harry Potter, Hogwarts is undeniable proof that magic exists.
God existed. A pillar of fire appearing out of nowhere. That is undeniable proof that God existed. And what does it say about the nation of Israel? That they complained and they were unbelieving. If people with undeniable proof of God's existence, still some of them decided not to choose God, then I know that it's not about belief in God. It's about surrender to God.
So pathetic, man. But that's it. Bunch of random videos on religious folk trying to get atheists or talk about atheists or trying to convert atheists. But I'll see you in another video.